What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and this is one of my favorite topics to talk about in video games. Now, the Outer Worlds, highly anticipated, brought to you by the team that brought you the good Fallouts, Obsidian, has received a fair amount of criticism in the past few days, and outside of my mild concern that it's on Epic Game Store, I'm still as excited for the game as I ever was. Now, if I can buy the game not using Epic Game Store, I'll get it right away. If I must wait until it's on Steam, I'm fine to do that as well. That, however, is not the issue that is being brought up. Now, PC Gamer put up an article a few days ago. The Outer Worlds co-director says it will be political, but not politically charged. And people are losing their minds. Leonard Boyarsky says Obsidian doesn't want to lecture its players. Oh my God! I mean, I could literally do that for hours. Imagine that. A company that is in touch with their player base and willing to say it publicly. Now, you know the blue check marks on Twitter are going to go crazy over this, but let's just look at this article in the first place. Obsidian creative director Leonard Boyarsky said in a recent interview with VGC that the studio is not trying to make its upcoming RPG, The Outer Worlds, into a, quote, really hard politically charged game, and that it's being very careful not to lecture players about its themes. It's almost like they're watching our videos and reading our comments and your tweets, and not that of the boring, irrelevant legacy media. But his descriptions of those themes, which include power and how power is used against people who don't have it, is an awfully political ring to it. Aww. The Outer Worlds is a deep space colonist whose ship gets knocked off course and ends up being awakened from a cryosleep decades later and intended into the galaxy dominated by megacorporations and rampant capitalism. Ooh, capitalism. Anyway. Despite the obvious step up for a heavy-handed takedown of consumer culture, Boyarsky said he's not against capitalism. Imagine that, a company that needs to sell their game, that needs that needs profit, that has shareholders. Imagine that. Imagine they actually care about pleasing their customers and doing well financially. Shocking. He's pretty happy with the state of society overall. Oh no! Oh my God. Although there are a lot of ways in which it could be improved. It can be insidious in the way that people control stories you tell about the world. If you let other people control the narrative, then they control you to a certain degree. Oh my, I'm getting like a little, like, thank goodness this isn't a full body cam, because like this interview is it. If I have no other way to buy this game than on Epic Game Store, I might. I mean, this is music to my... They're listening to us. They're listening to us. This can be any form of government. If it wasn't capitalism, it could be something else. This sounds awfully political. Control the narrative, control people. That's, by the way, exactly what these clown world people want. That's what they want to do. They want to control the narrative, too. Make no mistake about it. Something you might read in a dystopian sci-fi novel, but he said the goal is to avoid staking out a position in obvious political matters, and instead let the players draw their own conclusions. This is like exactly what we've been asking for. This is all we've said. Look, the notion that gamers have any problems with, like, themes in the video games in particular is a BS straw man. People just don't like to be preached to. You can put certain situations in a game and let players make up their own mind whether it's good or bad. That's absolutely good. I think that's encouraged. I encourage that. But when you're narrating and you're lecturing to your players, that's what we don't want. It's almost like Obsidian totally understands their customers. There are people in this game who have philosophies that I don't agree with, and I take pains to make those people very likable, very sensible, and very believable. Then there are people in the game who say things that I agree with, who are perhaps not very nice to hang out with, Boyarsky said. So we don't want to set up a straw man. Oh, he's woke. Oh, I'm so excited, Obsidian. Oh, I'm like, I can barely contain myself. This is why, let me tell you, This is why I don't read the articles before I do the videos, so my reactions are pure, and I'm telling you, this is one of overwhelming joy to be reading this. Now, we don't want to set up a straw man and say, look how horrible this is. It really just about looking at all aspects of the issues. The last thing we want to do is make a game that people feel is lecturing them. This is so good. This is so good. Boyarsky compared Obsidian's approach to handling issues of race in the 2001 RPG Arcanum of Steamworks and Magic Obscura, in which he headed up a team for Troika. The story all comes down to the balance of power, how people get power and how they use it. We've been very careful. I've been very careful. The Outerworlds comes out October 25th, and I'm starting to warm up to the idea of buying it on Epic Games Store. Although I probably still won't, but hopefully I can just buy it directly. Now, you knew that people were going to lose their mind about this. This is like a few hot takes. Here's Jonathan McIntosh. It's a corporate dystopia where huge conglomerates run an entire planet for profit. But don't worry, it's just a meaningless aesthetic choice, and the game has nothing interesting to say about its setting or premise. Our story world is empty and pointless, we swear. How was that? Does that sound like John McIntosh to you? Again, you can have something... You can present something to somebody and let them make up their own mind, which I think creates a stronger sense of connection, or stronger connection, a stronger bond to whatever that idea might be. If you're just preaching at them and you're telling them what's good and what's bad, that's not going to end well. They're going to push back against that. And if you put that stuff in your game, it creates all sorts of negative press. But of course, I wouldn't expect Jonathan McIntosh to understand that. He's not a profitable human being. And then we have of course, the now broke person who collected tens of thousands of dollars for a game that they never released, Zoe Quinn, saying, between this, the Ubisoft guy, and Cyberpunk 2077, and all of the other weasels who are trying to ham-fistedly tackle social commentary, it's out of their depth while remaining neutral about which side of injustice is bad. I think we're in for a bunch of years of bad releases, buds. Well, this coming from somebody who, again, took $70,000 for a game and never released it. So I guess the people that were waiting on your game are going to be spared another one of, as you put it, bad releases. And then we have this 9-volt person. I have no idea who they are, but they have a large following, and they appear to be crazy far-left idiots. So they're making the point that that the plot of the game isn't. This is a common. How do I put it? I don't know if the right word for it is straw man, but the idea is there's always this argument from these clowns that want games to preach at people, is that, well, you're saying you don't want to have your game preach at people, but your game has political elements in it. Gotcha! That's what this whole post is here. That the plot is the game is set in the future with mega corporations having begun colonizing terraforming alien planets. And he's basically saying that, like, this is a political game. Again, the game can have these aspects, but it's not the same thing as having these aspects and then overtly telling the player what's good and what's bad and what's right and what's wrong. And that's exactly what this developer is saying, but everybody seems to be misrepresenting. Imagine, these people lying. Imagine people that write nonstop articles about social justice lying. You can still see, I'm still not 100% sure if Chris Avalon keeps trying to dodge controversy or he literally thinks his games aren't political. I'm hopeful of the former because I legit can't conceptualize how someone can write Fallout and think they just made an apolitical story. Again, this is, I think I understand what the writer is talking about. I think I understand what the developer is talking about. He's not saying that there won't be complex issues in the game. He's saying that he's not going to go out of his way to tell the player what's right and what's wrong. And I think that's all we ask. Right? And of course, you know, you have these people that endlessly screech about, you know, games not pushing their narrative. I think that, like, the idea here, the reason they're really mad is that they won't say what they want them to say. Just like the guy said in the PC Gamer interview, it's about control. Obsidian, stay strong, stay very strong, and I will sing your game's highest praises come October. But if you bend the knee to these crybullies, well, yo ho ho, it's a pirate's life for me. Obviously, I disavow. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.